Does this give you some sound? Lovely buzz. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Let's try and see if this would. It looks like from the thing it's going better here. Why would my sound system not be working? I didn't change anything. Okay, now. All right, so we're going to use the microphone on the camera, and it's probably going to sound pretty bad, but it's working. Okay. I didn't change anything about the sound setup whatsoever. The joys of live broadcasting. Good to see you all, Vic, Linda, Cindy. Buzz is gone. Okay. Yeah, let me try one thing real quick. I will know right away. So don't, you might hear a clunk and then back into normal. I'll know right away whether it works. Okay, yeah, definitely the sound system went down for some reason. I don't know. I didn't touch anything in here. What the heck? I don't know. I'll figure it out tomorrow and tonight, and then we'll try again. Hey, everybody. Welcome to harmonicaband.com rehearsal. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is that in playing through our songs, I had not had a chance to go through them in detail until today, and every one of them is way too fast to play with the MP3. Hey, Gene. And so I am going to update these pieces of sheet music and slow them down so that you can actually play with them and develop some pretty tones to go with the backing track. Right now, you just blaze through them as fast as you can. I cannot believe how fast I have Ode to Joy set. It's just stupid fast. And Clair de Lune is high up on the neck, high up on the harmonica, and you want it to be nice and like meaningful, and you're like dun 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 dun, and it's just not good. So I'm going to slow them down. So for tonight anyway, we're not going to play with the backing tracks. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on them tomorrow, slowing them down, probably adding some stuff. I think a couple of them I'd like to add chromatic lines on, because I want you all playing in addition to Diatonic, which is what this is for. This is where we start. This is where we finish, right? This is the good one, and so we want to have you all ability to play chromatic on all songs all the time, everywhere. And so I will be spending a tiny bit of time on that over the next couple of days. In any event, rather than slow things down tonight, we just won't play with the backing tracks, and we'll move on from in that order. That hopefully that makes some sense. So let's warm up. Let's play some Ode to Joy. This is on our daily warm-ups. We used to do these every day, and now we do them once in a while. And we'll play it just as written. I have no notations on the sheet music whatsoever, so we just play it all the way through. Remember, the second time through, don't play measure 16, skip it. Okay? Hold your harmonica correctly. Like a sandwich, right? Knuckle above your fourth hole. Let me put my phone on silence because we do not need to be having people. They don't understand how important harmonica rehearsal is. This way, nice sound chamber, bam. Okay, so in other words, there's no sound going anywhere. It's going to completely stop in my palm. That gives you the ability to do this, right? All right, from the top, nice and slow, about half the speed that this MP3 set at, and start with blow 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that should warm up that harmonica. Just beautiful. One of the things I'm noticing, hello Patricia Luton, um, is bending notes is something I have learned how to do. And when I'm playing something like this, I'm really trying not to bend the notes. It's classical music and you're supposed to have it sort of specific, right? And when you bend notes, you kind of get this roundedness. It's something I always want you to work on, especially on your draw notes, is to get that wah sound, and you do that by the interior. There's no other way to talk about it other than inside the muscles of your mouth. If I'm on drawing on hole 4, okay, so there's your bent note. It's all the same note, but you by tightening the muscles inside of my mouth, causing a contraction and then loosening it, it is wah, wah. It's what makes harmonica famous, diatonic harmonica famous, because you can great voicing in there. Sounds very bluesy, and that's why this is a very famous blues harmonic or blues instrument, because you can bend those notes. The problem with bending notes is once you learn how to do it, then you have to control how you do it. And I'm still in that process of getting back into harmonica. I used to be pretty good at controlling it, and now it's trying to do its own thing a little bit. But you want to be working on it, right? And most of the time, my students say, "I can't bend the notes. I can't bend the notes." And there's comes this day when you can do it, but there's that day you don't know when it's going to happen. And in order to be working on it, my suggestion is tighten everything up, draw holes 4, 5, 3, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, any of the low notes. So start with overemphasize, it feels almost pinched to the sound, and then loosen it, right? And it's all in your mouth. Your breathing never changes. It's always from your belly. You're always, if you are drawing, you're pulling air into your belly like a bellows. And if you're blowing out, you push it in your belly to push air out like a bellows, right? So this is actually, like the thing that you do on the fireplaces back in the old days when we had fireplaces that you had to use the thing on. Your belly is out and in, literally like a bellows, like a pipe organ or something. And so make sure you're always breathing from down here. I notice anytime I'm having bad sounds come out of my harmonica, it's because I'm breathing from up here, or worse, from up here. And so the breathing continues to stay in your belly. But to draw those notes, you kind of pinch the sound. Is it like vibrato? I don't think that's the right way to think about it. How I think about it is there's this reed, right? And it's vibrating to make the sound. And what I'm going to try to do with the muscles inside of my mouth is make it go down here a little further and then open up. It's still, the reed's still doing its thing, but it's pulling up a little bit. And on these upper notes, you can actually do it with blows where the reed's doing, and you blow it and then the reed actually gets higher. And so it's about I guess about the air pressure is what's going on there. But when you're drawing on these middle to low notes, you'll be drawing it down a little bit. The reed, instead of it vibrating here, it's going to vibrate down a little bit. That's drawing down, okay? And on the upper notes, you draw up. So this reed is doing that inside the harmonics. Physically, you're changing the shape of the reed as you play it. And if you get really good at it, you can actually bend the reed inside of your harmonica permanently, which is not what you want to do. But how you think about it is you start with everybody constricted and then loosen up as you're drawing. And just use hole number 4 because it's always cooperative, or 3. That's bending the notes. Professionals and guys who are really good at this, They know exactly what it takes to bend it down a quarter note, a quarter tone, a half tone, and a full tone, and so they can adjust it. That's why you see some guys playing songs better placed on chromatic. They can play some songs on a diatonic just by bending the notes, but you got to get really, really good at. And I don't know if it's that important to get really, really good at. Vibrato, Vic, is more of thinking about stuff as da 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 da. It's the same note over and over. Da 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 da. Like on a violin, there is vibrato, but you're really just creating that wavy sound right around the same note. And so we do that on guitar too, guys. Remember, or ukulele, where you're wiggling your finger. Still the same note. It just has a little bit of oompata, oompata, oompata around that note. That's what that vibrato is doing. And in vibrato on harmonica, it's basically the same note, but just kind of, I don't know. That's not a great way to put it. I'm basically just trilling it, but you get kind of the idea. Hey, Kat. I got so many nice notes from you guys this week, by the way. I haven't not even been able to get to email as usual. I don't even have a job. What the heck? But we got bird feeders, and so I'm spending a lot of time working on the birds. All right. So anyway, be thinking about when you're goofing around with your harmonica, you're not playing music, just try drawing in muscles tight inside your face and then loose. I feel like it's kind of in the back of my mouth, not my throat, but sort of back there, that those muscles are tighter, and then I loosen them up just a little bit. And so that's what the reason why you learn to want to bend. The reason why you want to learn to bend notes is that you will then be able to shape the note as if you are a singer. So dun 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 dun. That's how a guitar or ukulele player would play, because we have those specific notes. How a singer does it is yum dum 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 dum, and you can feel them rounding out the notes. And I, of course, I'm a terrible singer, but you get the idea, right? When you are, it's why people love to hear music that with singers in it, because the singers' voices can fluctuate around the shape of the note and do more stuff with it than you can with a piano or with a fretted instrument where the note is the note, basically. And you get a lot more ability to voice it based on what your human voice can do. And when you can bend on harmonica, you also get the chance to voice the note. So you're no longer, you're just playing an E note, below 5 is an E, but you're playing a cool E, right? So that's what you're looking at. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of times people say, oh, well, you know, playing melody is no big deal on this. That's what beginners do. Yeah, it's what beginners do. It's also what experts do when they get really good, because they can finally shape the notes to mimic the sound of a voice. And so so when you hear people kind of belittling melodic harmonica, you got to know that they're thinking of it as, that's where I started, now I'm doing blues kind of thing, because I can bend notes. But beyond bending notes is controlling them in a way to match a voicing of it. And so yeah, so there you go. That's a little discussion on voicing. Easy to talk about, very hard to do. Just keep practicing. One day you do it. Just one day. I just remember I was driving. I keep a harmonica in the car, and you stop at stoplights and you try to play as fast as you can. You Are My Sunshine, to see if you can play the whole song before the light changes. And I remember one day I was going and I was just hanging out, and then I bent, and I don't know what it was different. I guess it was because I was playing more. My muscles in my mouth were a little stronger, and all of a sudden I knew I could do it. Then the question was, how can I do it consistently? So yeah, so hopefully that gives you at least some like motivation to try, motivation to know what bending is, and then as best you can practice with it. You'll see one day it'll just be there. All right, now our hard song on Diatonic today is Clair de Lune. So let's go take a look at Clair de Lune. And if you're using iPad, it's O Clair de Lune, A-U Clair de Lune. And here again, this thing is way too fast. so I will slow it down on the MP3s. I'll add some fancy stuff to it, make it sound a lot more better, lot more better, and then we will be able to have a nice backing track, and you can play this. Now, the question is, Gary, when am I ever going to play this stuff for anybody? And it's like, you don't know. You don't know. There may come this day when somebody calls you up and says, hey, I need you to play "Oh Clair de Lune" because it was my mom's favorite song, and she's having a bake sale. we want to surprise her. It's her birthday. We want to surprise her. The other thing, those of you guys with Chromatic and have spent a little bit of time tabbing out stuff, when you see a completely diatonic song like this one, it'll fit on Chromatic. And if you'd rather play it on Chromatic, just go tab it out. And we will have one day when we sit down and talk about soon. We'll do it soon when we talk about tabbing out a song. And I'll tell you which songs work with tabbing and which songs suck with tabbing. But basically, if it's in the key of C and there are no sharps or flats, you can play it on this. Okay, you may not necessarily like where it ends up on here. We have plenty of songs that end up way up high on this harmonica because that's where the notes are. And so a lot of times, even if it's in the key of C and there are no sharps and flats, I'll still tab it out on Chromatic because I got a lot more choices of those same notes on that than I have on this one. If it's in another key, there's almost certainly going to be sharps or flats in it somewhere, and then you can't tab it out on this. You have to have the Chromatic. And so most songs are not in the key. Well, I shouldn't put it that way. A gajillion songs are in the key of C, but a gajillion are not. And so anytime you have a sharp or a flat, you no longer want to use this as your primary instrument for tabbing. Okay, this one has no sharps or flats and it's in the key of C. This one is going to test your patience with your sound coming out of the 7s and 8s, right? If you've looked at it before class here, it's a problem, right? It's definitely, and I'm going to make probably some pretty grody sounds. We're not playing it 4 times. We're going to play it 2 times through, okay? Second time through, skip measure 16. And there is one typo I need to fix. On measure 15 at the bottom of page 2, the last note in measure 15 should be a -8, not just a regular 8. It should be a -8. For the love of God, love of dun dun gong. Right. So your last note, you need to put a minus sign in front of that 8, and that's as far as I know the only mistakes. Okay. All right. I'm not going to play again. The MP3 is set too fast. I'm going to slow it down, give you a better count in and all that stuff. Okay. By the way, the dude's going over to borrow a pen from the girl next door, and then they end up spending the night together. Pretty spicy writing for 1860. All right, from the top, keep a steady pace with me. And again, with harmonica band, the idea is you're playing with me. I set the pace, and then you keep up with me. If you make a mistake, you do not care. You keep moving forward. If I make a mistake, you do not care. You keep moving forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, my breathing was not well. Did not go well. So poor job from my part, but you basically got the idea, right? So it's really high up on here, and your first thought is, man, I'm never gonna play a song up there because that sounds terrible. Yeah, right. Doesn't sound great, and that's why we've talked about it before. Low F harmonica, low F. Okay, low F. Just give you an example. This is why you go by a low F to play C harmonica in C. You play the same tab. You no longer can play with other people. But just listen to how much more pleasant the tonality is. That's the sound you want to make with a harmonica when you're playing melody, right? That's why a lot of times, you know how you can go out on the internet and you're like harmonica tabs, and then these lists of numbers come up, and it's very unmusical in many respects. But if you know the song, out there somewhere on the internet laying around, somebody's tabbed out the song, and they just give you the numbers. They don't give you anything else. Here's the song. Hope you know how it goes, and there's the numbers. On the rare occasion when I've done that, I always grab the low F harmonica because I know even if there's tens and nines and eights and it's going to sound fine on this. On the C harmonica, man, that gets to be this high piercing, that's pretty loud, pretty hard on my ears sound. And so while we always teach on C harmonica, once you know what you're doing, probably switching to a low F or something equally down the register will end up making you sound good. The other thing is to just tab it out on Chromatic, and that solves everything. Could we start the C at hole 4? The reason we can't, 100% of the time when I'm tabbing out a piece and it's high like that, I'm like, can I go down? And the problem, if I recall, is it drops down below where the note, where we don't have that note on the harmonica. It drops down to that A, and so then that harmonica on diatonic, you don't have that note. It's just not there. And so you would have to bend it in order to do that. So I never tab up high unless I don't have the note down below. So my thought is almost always I want to start on hole 4 with diatonic. And so that's why, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, is the reason why it's up on that end. It's a great question, LG. I think that it's been a long time since I tabbed it out, but I would have tabbed it out lower if I could. But a lot of times when you're like, okay, and I see it's a C, I'll just use that lower octave. The problem with harmonica is inevitably, when it goes below C, it's going to land right on a note you don't have. As you will recall down here, the way the tuning works, there's notes that are missing on 1, 2, and 3, and it's always going to be the note you need. That's the one that's missing, and so it's a little bit annoying. I know why they tune the ukulele, tune the harmonica that way, and I read about it, and I've tried to accept the fact that, hey, this is how it's done, and it is the way it's done. There's no changing it now, but it is dumb because there's 2 G's down there, and you don't need both of them. But blues players love it because they're down there. All their chords are right there. They can bend the heck out of them. It sounds very soulful, and so that's why it's set up that way. And it's just not. It's not a great. There are special tunings that some harmonica groups do, but I don't write for them because those harmonicas are not generally available. You gotta do a little deeper research to do that. So yeah, so that's why this ends up high. Anytime the song is way up high, you know I ran out of notes on the diatonic, and you probably should play it on Chromatic. I'm going to try to put chromatic lines on all of the sheet music going forward. Because honestly, I'd just rather be playing that, and I think it just gives you so many more choices. but that's me. All right, House of the Rising Sun. Let's go take a look at that. E, F, G, where are you? House of the Rising Sun. All right, here's a great example of why tabbing out a song can be very sad. Here you are, you're in A minor, actually, and there's, so that means there's no sharps or flats, and you're like, sweet, I'm going to put this on diatonic. There's no sharps or flats until one note in measure 14. So you're busy tapping it out for diatonic, and you're happy as a clam, everything's working out great, and then you get to measure 14, and then you get to stop and say a curse word, and then you go back and re-tab the whole thing for a chromatic. I have done that a dozen times at least, where you look thing over, you know, like, I think this will fit on diatonic, and you're very happy. And I've seen people play this on diatonic, and then I go and then I find out, oh, wait a minute, there's that stupid sharp down there, and the way guys get away with it on diatonic is that's a place where they'll bend the note, right? They'll grab the A and pull it down to A flat, and then they get away with it. But we don't do that here, right? I want you to know how to bend. I want you to use it to shape your notes, but I don't want you to change the actual note until you're a pro and you're playing in blues bars, and then, of course, that's when I want to come listen to you. Otherwise, we just play the notes. Now, you're supposed to play the song 3 times. And again, it's too fast on the MP3, so I'm going to slow it down. You want it soulful, right? And this is pretty close to the famous version. I don't remember who it was. The Animals, maybe, that did this. So it's basically their version. My only notes here are in measure 12, the last verse is misery. In the house, it just shows a 1 minus 3 under there. There should be 2 quick ones, right? In the house of the rising sun. So on the last time through, there's 2 minus 3s in measure 12, and another. Sorry, you're going to add a minus 3 at the end of measure 12, and another double minus 3 at the end of 13, right? So that means basically you're just matching your playing to the lyric. And then just be ready for that sharp in measure 14. And, in measure 11, the second time through, you can just play straight on through that. My father was a gambling man. That's a long minus 5 there. Joan Baez has a wonderful version of this, says Cindy, and Cindy is always right. So you might go to listen to what Joan Baez does with this. Zillions of people have done this song. It's really super popular, especially guitar-ish type people love to play this one. All right, chromatic and way down here. Right, but you do go pretty high up, so you're going to end up to 7. So look at the space there. My whole harmonica almost fits in between those 2 notes, right? So you got to remember to slide your face a little further. Okay, from the top, 3 times through. I'll give you a 2-beat count in, and then you play with me. Hold this. It is harder to hold your sound chamber, so do the best you can. Okay, but you got to have your thumb ready to go. Most books recommend you use your index finger here. I have never, ever done that, because then you end up holding it like this and having to have the whole thing looks weird. So I always just use my thumb on this. I feel like I can hold my sound chamber a little better and play those with my thumb. Okay, you can do you. We don't spend too much time on harmonica posture. 1, 2. Nah, let me get the right note. Minus 2 is never going to work. 1, 2. That's not the right note. There's the note. Minus 4 is just not going to work either. 1, 2. Sorry, that's a -7 at the very end there. So you can either pull the -3 through all 6 beats, or I just topped up to -7 at the very end there. Um, I was thinking about this. We didn't really talk about it, but pay attention to your ties versus your slurs in the sheet music. So in measure 6, there's a slur. The notes change, right? Rising sun, right? Rising. Let's see. There's a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun. And so what you want to do there is don't tongue between the first note in 6 and the second note. 7 slides to 6, and then tongue the last 6 in measure 7. Okay, so not bend, slur, right? So you just don't tongue, that creates the slur, and then slur, and then ties are just one long note. So from 7 to 8, that's a 5-beat note. All right, so let it go the whole time. So a lot of times on a wind instrument, we might jip that last 5-beat thing, make it 4.5 beats, and give yourself a chance to just breathe and move on to the next thing. Either blow the air out or get the air in. Because it's not in C, you're going to be anytime it's in C, you're mostly going to be blowing. Anytime it's in any other key, there's going to be a lot more draws. And here we're in A minor, and so you sensed a lot of those draws. It has a sadder sound to it, and so pay attention. So that's why you're drawing a lot, and that's why you keep running out of air if you're like me. The other slur, of course, is down there in measure 14 from that. -3, 2, I'm sorry, 3 star, 2, 3 star. And it's pretty hard to do because you've got to get this button really good. And I blew it, I think, all 3 times. Now, where is it? Right? No, I'm one. So it's probably a double slur. I probably should check and see if we shouldn't just slur that whole thing. But that's the idea, is that you've got a slur, the notes change, but you really shouldn't tongue with them. And that means you're looking to try to create this, again, that vocal quality to it. And I think for me, listening to the lyrics and hearing them in my head as I'm playing really makes a big difference in terms of when to sort of put on a little more mustard or take a little bit off, trying to get that vocal quality to it. Harder is, some people, if you go around and listen to some harmonica videos, some people are really good at it. Here's the problem I have with harmonica videos. They always crank the reverb way the heck up on those things. They do it on ukulele too. I have never understood that. Crank the reverb up so it sounds like they're playing in a cathedral. And it's fine. It's what they're doing, but don't do that. It's ridiculous. All right, there's Rehearsal writing something kind of fun. All 3 of those songs I'm going to slow down. In addition to our piece from last week, I want to grab, and let me close this out. For our piece from last week that we carried over to this week, just because we needed one more run at it, is the Heidenröslein, and it's a piece that hopefully you don't know, and so you're having to count on your tools to get good at it. And it's of course in German. I have no idea how to pronounce those words. It doesn't matter, right? We should be able to use the sheet music to study the piece. Long note, short note, very long, a middle kind of note, that dotted quarter or dotted eighth, and then the 16th note's really fast. And you're going to be pushing the button so much on this piece, it's crazy. Okay, I will go slow. We'll get it in there, and then when you don't know the song, go listen to the MP3 about 5 times, and then be like, okay, I see what's going on, and then mimic that on your harmonica. And like I said, I'm going to slow all of the songs down. I just feel like, yeah, I can probably pull it off at the speeds that they're posted, but it's not fun. And in order to make this fun, you just play it a little slower, and automatically it's fun. Okay? Dum 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 da dum 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 dum. Dum dum da da dum dum dum. That's what you're looking for. Okay, find your 5 star. Okay, button. 1, 2. That's not the right note. 1, 2. That's not the right note. 1, 2. Yeah. All right, kept making the same exact mistake in exactly the same exact spot, so I'm going to go work on this. I'm going to record this week and get this up. For all of the world to hear this song from 19 whatever, 18, 19, for a long time ago, 1833, somewhere in there. People are dying to get their hands on this, so I'm going to let them have it. The couple of challenges I'm facing here, I'm on an iPad, right? I'm keep getting to the end of the first page and having to reach up and hit, right? Couple of solutions to that. One, it's a good idea to change the page before you hit the end of the last measure. So at measure 4, I need to start looking at reading 6 minus 5, 5, 5, right? Two couple of stars there. Just memorize those last 4. Then I can be reaching up and turning the page while I'm playing those notes. Those of you who are on paper, of course, have an advantage because it's just all right there. You can put your iPad sideways and put both pages there, but then you're going to have really good eyes. So hopefully you're 22 years old and you're just fine doing that. But be thinking about with page turns, especially like it's bad enough on the other instruments, right? When you're on your ukulele and you're playing along, you get to the page turn the whole time, you're like, right? And you just dreading it. But with this, there's a real problem because you got to have like this whole process involves your whole entire being, and so pulling your hand off to turn the page can be quite problematic. And so really be thinking ahead about page turns. When you get to that next to last measure, just read through that and just stick that last measure in your head. Your head will hold it. That way you can be playing while you reach up and quickly turn the page. The other thing you guys know if you're on iPad is that it's really easy to turn 2 or 3 or 17 pages. So beware, you want to practice page turns. The other thing is they do have the little foot pedal, which I use a lot when I'm getting ready to perform something. And that in and of itself is a whole separate learning curve, like how carefully and how quickly do you tap your foot on it, and then if you go too far, how do you get where you can quickly back up and that sort of thing. So I'm a huge fan of the iPad, and I'm a huge fan of playing with as much electronic help as possible, but just all of those things involve separate skills. Yeah, City says, what about the pedal thing to turn pages? Yeah, I have one, and I use it only when I'm performing, when I'm sitting around practicing or whatever. I don't use it like I should have had it on right now because I'm performing here, and I didn't. And so now I'm in this situation, all right, go to plan B, which is to memorize that last measure and turn it, or plan C, which is to get to the end of the measure, hope you remember the next notes on the invisible page you haven't got to yet, which I did one time. And then there's the other one, which is just stop, turn the page, and get started again, which is never the right idea. So there you go. Hey, Marianne. Oh, up in Parker. I know. I heard Denver is getting destroyed cold temperature-wise today. So the Rocky Mountain Ukulele Orchestra decided there's no way. So I imagine all of them are just tuned in here in the background listening to this because they want to play harmonica really. All right. So several things this week. One, be practicing these songs, right? And I'm going to take the sheet music, I'm going to slow them all down. I'll pick 1 or 2 new ones to add in. I think we'll probably, just for good measure, play these songs again next week at a slower pace with the backing tracks. If I get them all done, that would be my ultimate goal. I'm going to try to record 1 or 2 more songs. I think all of you probably got the email from the website. It kicks out automatically that I posted Amazing Grace. And when I post those, it's not to show that I'm the world's greatest player, because clearly I'm not, but it is to give you one more thing to either play along with me or whatever. I think, guys, at the end of the day, that there's 2 things that are going to make you good on harmonica. I mean, it took us 15 minutes to learn how to read the sheet music and play the harmonica, right? That's not the hard part with harmonica. The hard part is keeping it going, right? And the hard part is finding a reason to do it. And I think if playing with somebody else is going to make you more likely to do it, I also then do it that way, right? I also think just having because I don't put reverb and go through and edit and all that stuff. All these guys, they love to do that stuff. I don't have time for that. I record the song as best I can, and then I put the opening credits and the ending credits, and then I push publish, and it takes me about 5 minutes to prepare videos, and it shows, right? It shows exactly that they're like that. But again, the idea is, hey, I'm going to listen to Gary, see what he's doing. I can play along with Gary. I am going to try to always have that backing track going on those recordings so that if you hate listening to me, you can do it. You can just go grab the backing track and do it yourself, or you can play along with me and we have a nice duet, you and I. All right, that's it for harmonica for today. I hope you guys are having a wonderful time. Stay warm if you're up north. And Kat and I, we live down south, so we're still in shorts down here. So I'll talk to you guys later this week. Send me an email if you have questions or comments or concerns, and keep making music. It's better than listening to music and being a consumer. Peace.